Hello everyone and welcome to this new video about level design. In this episode, we're gonna talk about a key idea for game creation, the form follows function principle. This concept, also known as affordance, is fundamental to making nice and intuitive levels for the players. In short, it's about giving the gameplay elements in your environment a shape that instantly suggests a function, and thus a specific kind of interaction. This notion was really formalized for human-machine interactions in 1988 in Don Norman's book, The Design of Everyday Things. A very common case of affordance is that of a ledge in an action-adventure game. When you see some vertical wall that is roughly the height of your avatar and that offers a plain plateau higher up, you'll probably be tempted to try and climb. That's because in our minds, this form of a wall ledge is associated with the action of climbing, so we naturally make a link between the two. Now, the reason affordances are so important in games is because they give us a sense of control over this virtual environment. To put it simply, they directly implement what we often experience in life, namely, I look at the situation, I anticipate its evolution after my intervention, everything goes according to plan, and I'm happy to see my expectations met. This simple forecast resolution cycle is super common, so much so that we sometimes forget we continuously experience some form of it. But it's always very nice for us to see things follow their expected course. So when it comes to believing, and once again remember that video games are all about the willing suspension of disbelief, using affordance is essential to ensuring players agree with what's happening on screen. The form follows function principle is also a great way to communicate info to the audience without breaking the immersion. By offering diegetic guidance, or in other words, helpers that are directly integrated in the game's world and its narration, you provide a more lifelike experience and you avoid reminding the players that they are actually currently playing a video game sitting in front of a screen. In a way, that's the opposite of big tutorial panels that interrupt the action and explain a point of gameplay by just laying out an encyclopedic definition for you to read. With affordance, the goal is to have you understand mechanics and interactions through experience, through trial and error, rather than through academic learning. Consider games like Assassin's Creed or Uncharted, which implement parkour mechanics. Well, ideally, those parkour mechanics should rely as much as possible on the form follows function principle, because you want your players to understand intuitively how the character evolves in the space. Typically, it should be obvious and logical where the avatar will grab and interact with the decor and how it will impact its next move, so that you can actually anticipate the upcoming position of your character. You shouldn't have to pose in the middle of the first jump and show a pop-up that says, yeah, guess what, your assassin can use this window to pull himself up and jump higher. That would be intrusive design and it would break the fourth wall and the immersion for no good reason. Note that affordances aren't limited to environment props. Usually, the shape or the equipment of an enemy suggests the best way of fighting it. Like spiky beasts that hurt you when you try and attack them, or guards with shields that require you to vault over and get behind them. Also, sometimes you can boost your affordance a little and make the function slightly more apparent to players. Typically, if you fear part of your audience won't get the gist intuitively as is, if some shape is misleading relative to the actual function, if you want to highlight a specific chunk of the scene, or if you want to explicitly encourage some action at a specific moment. We usually refer to these extended affordances as signifiers. For example, think of the beams wrapped in rope in the 2011 Tomb Raider reboot that show you where Lara can shoot a rope arrow, or the weak points on bosses in Shadow of the Colossus that help you spot where to focus your attacks. In both cases, we maintain an illusion of reality, but we also put the spotlight on a specific area that requires a specific reaction on your part, i.e. a noteworthy affordance. Of course, it's essential to understand that affordances depend a lot on prior knowledge. Because they ask you to connect together a form and a function, they obviously imply that you've learned this connection beforehand. Otherwise, the whole intuitive thing kind of falls apart. Some affordances can be learned in real life. The fact that gravity pulls objects down to the ground, or that a handle on a door allows you to pull it, or that slopes are slippery, and even more so when there's ice on them, all of that is knowledge that you can acquire in your everyday life, because those things do happen in the real world and video games have simply copied them. But many affordances and signifiers in games only make sense in the world of games. The idea that a red bottle on the ground is good because it will restore you health points, or that a barrel with a skull is explosive and potentially harmful for everything around it, those are elements of a common video game grammar that this community shares, but that may not be obvious to other audiences. Affordances therefore come in different flavors, depending on the type of prerequisites they rely on. There are many ways of classifying them, but I personally quite like the 5 categories presented in this 2021 machinations.io article that tells us about the cultural affordances, which are really tricky because you have to assess what your audience's culture is, and you run the risk of cutting yourself from some pools of players. But those are also the best because when you're actually in the targeted audience, they look totally logical to you. Then you've got the hidden affordances that are more subtle clues. They allow you to discover bonus contents or Easter eggs, but they aren't explicit. The goal here is usually to reward the curious and give them the opportunity to get extra gameplay if they put the effort into it. Then false affordances are another way of pleasing curious minds and discreetly spreading some extra content. They happen when you have some object with a shape that clearly indicates a possible interaction, but this interaction isn't actually implemented. They go against our natural instinct as a player. Those can be frustrating when they are too frequent, but they can also force people to think outside the box, and they can be a starting point for designing puzzles or hiding collectibles. Then, inferred affordances are an interesting technique for giving more depth to your world. Basically, the idea is to give players the illusion that there is more going on out there. For example, by blocking the way but indicating it could open up one day. This will leave players wondering if there is something behind that barrier, and if so, what it looks like, if it's worth coming back to later on, etc. Finally, systemic affordances are the most gamey of them all. They are all about guiding players in their learning of game-specific mechanics and systems. For example, having a unit slow down when it walks into mud, in War Tales, has you discover this speed relates to terrain type relationship. We don't need to tell you why, it makes sense compared to the real world, but it wasn't obvious that this system was implemented here, so this little highlight helps you extend your knowledge about the systems of this specific game. To sum up, the form follows function principle is paramount in games and in level design, because it helps players understand your world in an intuitive way, and it supports the willing suspension of disbelief. While it can be hard to master, especially when targeting various audiences, you should always keep it in mind, and remember that the language of affordances is spoken by everyone to some extent. So we should definitely try and tap in this shared knowledge. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this quick tips and techniques tutorial about level design, and that you've now got a rough idea of what signifiers and affordances are. If you did, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And of course, don't hesitate to leave a comment with your own ideas for future level design tutorials. As always, thanks a lot for watching, and take care.